welcome to this episode of the How to Choose Happiness and Freedom Show. I'm your host, Lauren Foster, and happy Tuesday to you. We're starting a brand new month, which means we're starting a brand new topic, which is always my favorite. That's kind of my thing. I love when we're first starting off the topic, and by the end of the month, I'm getting bored with it. But this is my favorite day. So our new topic this month is called Intention and Attention. And what we mean by that. So and you've heard the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Well, those are good intentions that were not followed up on with attention. Hello, Tammy Todd. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm glad you're here. I feel much less alone when you're here with me. So setting intention is something that you do ahead of time. And managing your attention is something that you do in every minute. So when you start off your day, which, go and download the How to Have Anything You Want journaling playbook. This is all of the instructions for how you're going to set your intention for each and every day. So you set out at the beginning of your day deciding what's important to you that day. How do you want to create that day? What are your big 3 things that you want to accomplish each day? So we do this in your to-be statements, your I am creating statements that you do every morning. And then who do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who is compassionate, someone who's strong, who's brave, who's resilient, who's disciplined? Whatever kinds of adjustments that you want to make to the person that you are showing up as every day, set your intention for this each day and decide how you want to feel, and then begin seeking out things that match up with that feeling to give your attention to. So what Mary Morrissey, who's my certifying institute is Life Mastery Institute, and she told us in our training the story of during one of the fires out in California, and this story I'm certain repeats itself a lot of times, but a reporter went up to a couple who their home had been completely destroyed, and they were absolutely distraught and just, saying, we've lost everything. There's nothing left. This was all that we had. I don't know what we're going to do. They were just in despair. And then down the road, another couple in the exact same circumstance were smiling and holding on to each other and happy and grateful, saying things like, we all got out, even our pets are safe, and we're all together and everything's fine. Homes can be rebuilt. So the only difference in those 2 scenarios is the perspective of the people who are looking at it. And that's our topic for this week is how does your perspective and how you're looking at things affect how you feel about them, and therefore what other new events and circumstances and happenings you're attracting into your life. So if you are getting yourself taught and teaching yourself the habit of looking for the bright side, looking for the happiness, changing your perspective so that the things that you're looking at are pleasing to you. Now, you've all experienced this. 2 people have been at the same exact place, and one reports that it was an amazing, awesome, fun experience, and the other reports that it was horrible. So what's the difference? The only difference is the perspective. And a lot of times our perspective is chosen by default. We wake up with a headache and in a bad mood, and we don't do the work to change our perspective, and the whole day seems to be cast with this shadow, and nothing looks good when you're going through the day with a headache and a bad mood. So the same exact day that is lived in an attitude of appreciation and gratitude looks entirely different than from the other perspective. So that's what we're talking about this week. There's everything in the world. The weather. There's not a thing you can do about the weather. Although I kind of feel like I have pretty good weather luck. The weather seems to cooperate with me. If I'm traveling, it hardly ever rains. If I'm feeling like I want to stay inside, then it does kind of rain. But that's my perspective. I feel like the weather cooperates with me. And so it's a rainy, stormy day, and that suits me just fine because I still have a dog that needs to be supervised closely. And, for us to all just stay in and stay cozy and dry inside suits me just perfectly. And, getting work done and getting the things accomplished here inside that I want to do. So Everything is about your perspective. And the way that you learn to have a different perspective is just like everything else. It's through practice. A fellow life coach that I knew, her name was Gigi, and she had this exercise where she would actually have people write down their problem on a sheet of paper and put it on the floor and stand above it looking down as if you are looking from God's point of view. Because if you stand far enough back, there's no problem that doesn't work itself out in the end, that doesn't wind up being an event in the midst of a giant tapestry that is beautiful. So even this pandemic that we're in the middle of right now, when we can look back on this in 10 years, in 20 years, we'll be able to see the positive changes. This will not look like it does to us now. So we can go ahead and do this. Project yourself 10 years down the road and go, okay, am I really going to care about this? I was a young Air Force wife, and back in the first during Desert Storm and Desert Shield, and my husband was deployed overseas, and I didn't know where. I wasn't allowed to know where, and I did a good job. I buckled down and I cleared out our debt and I developed our savings and I went to school full time and I worked a full time job and I volunteered for charity, and I was just very proud. I'm proud looking back at how I handled that circumstance. So if we ask ourselves this every day, when I look back at this day, and this is my dog Lacey's down here. Isn't she beautiful? When we look back at how we manage any day, any crisis, any situation, any problem, will we be proud of how we showed up for that? Will we be pleased that we managed our perspective, or will we look back and see that we were victims and we were just responding, just reacting to the things around us instead of choosing our response and how we were going to allow ourselves to be affected by outside influences? So it's all about your perspective. There's another exercise that we do in like a brainstorming type of exercise where everybody wants to go out, but they're just out of luck. Come on, guys. Come on. Shh, 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 shh. Stop. Stop, Rocky. Okay, this is the first time this has happened. We usually have kitty cats walking back and forth across, but my dog has never done this before. Rocky, shush, shush. And he doesn't mind either. So managing your perspective and how you look at things. So, hang on. Yeah, I don't know how to make him stop. Okay. All right. So when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's our lesson for today. We're going to come back on Thursday and we're going to get more specific about the how-tos to actually get this to happen. And I'll have a plan for the barking dog on Thursday as well. So I will see you on Thursday. In the meantime, remember, happiness is a choice and you can always choose to be happy first. I'll see you Thursday.